Okay, so we're going to do a deep dive today on this future of work thing. It's a hot topic,
Always.
always hot.
Hmm.
And we always like to look at what the experts are saying, what are they predicting.
Right.
And I think this Forbes article you sent over is really fascinating. It's
Yeah.
called 16 Trends Set to Disrupt Workplaces in 2025 and How to Prepare. And what I thought was really interesting is that it was just published November 20th, 2024.
Oh, wow.
So this is like
Hot off the presses.
really hot off the presses.
Yeah.
So let's just dive right in.
Yeah.
The first trend they talk about is customized work hours.
Okay.
So, we hear a lot about, flexibility and remote work and all this stuff. But
Right.
what do you think is really at the heart of this?
Well, I think what we're seeing is employees are really craving more control
Okay.
over when and how they work.
Okay.
And this isn't entirely new, right? We've
Right.
seen this kind of bubbling up with the rise of remote work,
Right.
the gig economy. But it seems like it's really accelerating.
Absolutely.
And it's really reflecting a change in values, too.
Yeah.
People are prioritizing things like work-life balance and autonomy.
Yeah.
Um, and they're not willing to just fit into the traditional 9-to-5 mold anymore.
Right.
So it's really about meeting those needs.
Yeah. The article talks about companies needing to build in resiliency
Right.
to make this whole, customized work thing actually work.
Yeah.
What do they mean by that? What does that look like in practice?
So I think resiliency in this context means being able to adapt and flex
Okay.
with all these different work styles and preferences.
Okay.
So for companies, this might mean investing in tools and technology
Mm-hmm.
that allow for more asynchronous work,
Okay.
so people can collaborate effectively, even if they're not all online at the same time.
So like project management tools and that sort of thing.
Exactly. Things like that, yeah.
Okay.
And it also means training managers to lead effectively
Right.
in this more flexible environment,
Mm.
focusing on outcomes rather than just hours logged.
Okay, so it's a whole new way of thinking about productivity and how we measure success.
Exactly.
But it's not all sunshine and roses, is it?
Well, no, I mean, there are definitely potential downsides to this customized work life.
Okay, what are some of the things you see as potential challenges?
Well, one of the big ones is scheduling.
Okay.
If everyone has a completely different ideal workday,
Mm-hmm.
trying to coordinate meetings or get everyone on the same page can be a nightmare.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then there's the question of fairness.
Uh-huh.
How do you make sure that everyone's workload is fair and balanced
Right.
when people are working different hours?
And promotions, are they going to go to the people that are always on,
Exactly.
even if they're not actually getting more work done?
Yeah, those are all really important considerations.
Yeah, it's making me rethink my own ideal schedule.
Right.
That's for sure. All right, let's shift gears a little bit
Okay.
to something that I know always gets people talking AI. And the article actually groups several trends under this umbrella, right?
It says trends 2, 5, 8, 12, and 15 all touch on AI in some way.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big theme.
Okay, so it's not going away.
Definitely not.
But the interesting thing is the article isn't all doom and gloom about AI,
Right.
A lot of times you hear, oh, it's going to take our jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But this seems to be framing it more as an opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's one of the key takeaways.
Okay.
It's not about being afraid of AI. It's about figuring out how to use it to our advantage.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So less about robots taking over and more about how we can partner with AI to do our jobs better.
Exactly.
Oh.
It's about seeing AI as a tool that can augment our capabilities,
Okay.
not replace us.
So trend 2 specifically talks about this bow and arrow approach
Yes.
to AI.
A very targeted approach.
What do they mean by that?
So instead of just blindly adopting every new AI tool that comes out,
Mhm.
the idea is to be very strategic
Uh-huh.
and really think about what specific problems you're trying to solve.
Okay.
What are the areas where AI can actually add value in your specific role?
Okay, so it's not one size fits all.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
It's about finding the right tool for the right job.
Have you seen any companies that are doing this well?
Actually, I was reading about a marketing team
Okay.
that's using AI to analyze customer data
Okay.
and personalize their messaging.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's freed them up from a lot of the tedious tasks,
Okay.
so they can focus more on strategy and creative thinking.
So it's actually helping them be more human.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
It's taking over the things that machines are good at,
Right.
so the humans can focus on the things that they're good at.
And that brings us to trend 15,
Okay.
which talks about an AI human hybrid workplace.
Right.
So we're not just using AI as a tool, but we're actually collaborating with it.
Yeah, it's that partnership.
Yeah, there's a quote in the article that I thought was really powerful. It says, "This is a world where AI and humans collaborate seamlessly in creative and strategic decision making."
That's a great quote.
Isn't that cool?
It paints a very different picture
It does.
than the one we usually hear.
Yeah.
It's not about AI taking over.
Right.
It's about AI and humans working together.
To achieve more.
Exactly.
So what are you most curious to explore with AI?
That's a good question. I think for me,
What tasks could it take off your plate?
yeah, I'd love to see how AI could help personalize learning experiences.
Oh, interesting.
You know, Imagine a world where every student has access to AI tutors
Yeah.
that adapt to their individual needs and learning styles.
Wow, that would be a game changer.
You would.
Yeah, okay, so we've talked a lot about technology,
Oh, yeah.
AI automation, all this stuff.
It's exciting.
It is exciting, but it's almost surprising that the article also emphasizes the human element becoming even more important.
It's a paradox, isn't it?
It is.
The more technology we have, the more we need those uniquely human qualities.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's because technology can only take us so far.
Okay.
It can automate tasks, it
Mhm.
can process information,
Right.
but it can't replace things like creativity, emotional intelligence,
Hmm.
empathy.
Yeah.
Those are the skills that are going to be even more valuable.
Especially as the world of work becomes more complex and uncertain.
Exactly.
And we're seeing that play out in several of the trends that the article highlights.
Right.
Trends 6, 7, 9, and 11 all point to this growing importance of human skills.
It's a big theme.
Yeah. So let's dive into some of those specific trends.
Okay.
Starting with trend 6, the Great Detachment,
Okay.
which talks about companies struggling with low employee engagement.
Right. And I think this is where the human element becomes so critical.
Okay, how so?
Well, technology can connect us in some ways,
Sure.
but it can also create distance.
Absolutely.
When you're working remotely or in a hybrid environment,
Yeah.
it's easy to feel isolated and disconnected from your colleagues. And that can lead to a lack of engagement and motivation.
So what can companies do to combat this?
Well, Trend 11 offers some clues.
Okay.
It talks about the shift toward conscious business practices.
Okay, what does that mean?
It's about focusing on employee well-being and purpose.
Okay.
It's about creating a culture where people feel valued,
Mm-hmm.
supported,
Mm-hmm.
and connected to something larger than themselves.
So it's not just about perks and ping pong tables.
No, it's about creating a work environment where people can thrive.
Yeah, and feel like their work matters.
Exactly.
One thing the article mentions is this idea of purpose.
Right.
And I think that's so important. It's not just about the what of work anymore. It's about the why.
Mm-hmm.
People want to feel like they're contributing to something meaningful.
Absolutely.
And that ties into the idea of leadership evolving as well.
Yeah. Trends 4, 10, 13, and 16 all focus on how the demands of leadership are changing.
It sounds like leaders are in a pressure cooker these days.
They are.
They've got to navigate hybrid work, rapid change, AI integration, all this stuff.
It's a lot.
Yeah, and that's why Trend 4 talks about rising leaders challenging the old guard.
Right.
It's not just about technical skills anymore.
No, it's about being adaptable,
Okay.
emotionally intelligent,
Oh.
and able to inspire and connect with people.
Even when they're not in the same room.
Exactly.
So whether you're leading a team now or hoping to someday,
Right.
these trends are highlighting the need to be constantly learning and growing.
Absolutely.
It's not enough to just have the technical skills anymore.
Nope.
You need the human skills too.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to be comfortable with change because that's the only constant these days.
It is the only constant.
Okay, so speaking of embracing new ways of thinking,
Okay.
there's one trend that I think often gets overlooked in these discussions about the future of work:
Okay. What's that?
supply chain resilience.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
Yeah, it's not as sexy as AI or, hybrid work,
Right.
but it's absolutely critical, especially with all the disruptions happening globally.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what trend number 14 highlights.
Okay.
Creating a more resilient supply chain.
It seems like a lot of companies are really struggling with this.
They are.
We've seen the impact of things like
Right.
geopolitics, climate change, even just like inflation, all putting pressure on these systems.
Yeah, it's a complex issue.
So it's not just about efficiency anymore, right? It's about being able to adapt
Right.
and bounce back when things go wrong.
Exactly. Resilience is key.
So what does that look like in practice?
Well, the article talks about the need to analyze your logistics,
Okay.
identify weak points in your supply chain,
Okay.
and find creative solutions to mitigate risks.
Okay.
It's about anticipating disruptions
Uh-huh.
and having backup plans in place.
So you're not caught off guard.
Exactly.
Okay.
You have to be proactive.
This seems like such a massive, complex issue.
It is.
What are some practical steps that companies can take?
Well, one key strategy is diversifying sourcing.
Okay.
So instead of relying on a single supplier,
Right.
explore multiple options.
Okay.
Reduce your dependence on any one source.
Yeah, that makes sense. Spread the risk.
Exactly.
Okay, what else?
Another important step is investing in technology
Okay.
that provides real-time visibility into the supply chain.
Okay.
So you can see what's happening at every stage
Huh.
and respond quickly to any disruptions.
So it's about having that data
Absolutely. Data is key.
to make informed decisions.
Yeah.
Even if we're not directly involved in supply chain management,
Right.
understanding these pressures, I think, helps us see the bigger picture
It does.
of how businesses operate.
Yeah, it's all interconnected.
Right. Okay, so moving on to trend number 3,
Okay.
automating workflows.
Okay.
This one seems to be all about the practical implementation of AI and automation.
Yeah, it's about taking those concepts
Uh-huh.
and putting them into action.
So what are the key takeaways here?
Well, the article really stresses the importance of investing in AI learning, understanding how to leverage these tools ethically and responsibly.
Right.
And it also talks about redefining roles
Okay.
so that we can focus more on those uniquely human skills,
Right.
like creativity and emotional intelligence.
Which will be even more important in this evolving landscape.
Exactly.
So it's not just about replacing jobs with robots.
No, it's about figuring out how humans and AI can work together most effectively.
Okay, so it's about using these tools
Right.
to enhance our capabilities and
Yes.
free us up
Mm.
to focus on that more strategic,
Right.
creative work.
Yes.
Imagine a world where AI is handling all the
Right.
repetitive, data-heavy tasks,
Mm-hmm.
and we get to focus on the things that we're actually good at.
The things that make us human.
Yeah, that's a pretty exciting vision.
It is.
Okay, so speaking of building connections,
Okay.
let's talk about trend number 7, hybrid work environments.
Yeah. This was definitely top of mind for a lot of leaders these days.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's trying to figure out
Right.
this whole hybrid work thing.
I can make it work.
How to make it work.
Yeah.
Some companies are pushing for a return to the office. Others are embracing remote work fully.
It's a spectrum.
Yeah, and it's a lot for leaders to navigate.
It is. It requires a whole new set of leadership skills.
Okay, so what are some of the key things that leaders need to be thinking about?
The article really stresses the importance of emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Being able to build trust and foster connections,
Right.
even when everyone isn't physically in the same space.
And that can be tough.
It can be.
You don't have those
Right.
water cooler moments.
There's informal interactions
Yeah.
that help build relationships.
So how do you create that sense of connection?
Well, communication is key.
Okay.
Leaders need to be very intentional
Uh-huh.
about communicating regularly and transparently, sharing information about company goals,
Mm-hmm.
progress challenges,
Yeah.
and they also need to be proactive
Okay.
about checking in with their team members,
Okay.
not just about work,
Mm-hmm.
but about their well-being,
Right.
how they're feeling.
Those regular check-ins seem especially important when you consider that trend 6,
Yeah.
the great detachment that we were talking about. Companies are already struggling with low engagement,
Okay.
and then you add in this hybrid work element.
It makes it even harder
It does.
to maintain those connections.
So it's like they need to work even harder
They do.
to create that
Yeah.
sense of belonging.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so this focus on connection and well-being
Right.
ties directly into trend number 9,
Okay.
which is all about the rise of EQ in leadership.
Yes, emotional intelligence is becoming more and more important.
It seems like as AI takes over,
Right.
more of those routine tasks,
Mm-hmm.
those human elements like empathy, adaptability, relationship building,
Mm-hmm.
those become even more critical
too.
for effective leadership.
And the article suggests that leaders really invest
Okay.
in their own personal development,
Uh-huh.
focusing on emotional agility
Okay.
and resilience.
So it's not enough to just be tech savvy.
No.
You also have to be people savvy.
Exactly.
Yeah, when I think about the leaders that I've admired most,
Mm-hmm.
They weren't necessarily the
Yeah.
smartest people in the room,
Yeah.
but they were the ones who could create that sense of
Right.
belonging and purpose,
Mm-hmm.
even in the face of challenges.
It's about inspiring people,
Yeah.
not just managing them.
Okay, so moving on to trend number 10,
Okay.
RTO and hybrid policymaking.
This is a very practical consideration
Yeah.
for organizations
Yeah.
that are trying to figure out
Mm.
what their work model is going to look like.
Yeah, because it's different for every company.
It is. There's no one-size-fits-all approach,
Yeah.
and the article really emphasizes
Okay.
the importance of clear communication and transparency
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to these policies.
Yeah.
Leaders need to explain the rationale
Mm-hmm.
behind their decisions,
Right.
give employees ample time to adjust and transition.
That transparency piece seems really important.
It is.
If people understand the why
Right.
behind a decision,
Mhm.
they're more likely to buy into it,
They are.
even if it's not their ideal scenario.
Exactly. It's about
Mm.
building trust
Yeah.
and making sure everyone feels heard and respected.
Regardless of their work location preferences.
Yes.
Okay, and this focus on
Mm-hmm.
clear communication and adaptation
Mm-hmm.
is also really relevant
I'll
to
bet.
trend number 12,
Okay.
which explores widespread AI integration.
Yes.
So we've talked about AI as a tool,
Right.
but this trend seems to be more about the larger
Mhm.
cultural shift
It is.
within organizations.
Yeah, it's about integrating AI into the fabric of the organization.
So what are the key considerations here?
Well, the article highlights the need for a culture of continuous learning and adaptability.
Okay, so we've got to be comfortable with change.
Yes, change is the only constant,
Yeah.
and leaders need to upskill their teams
Uh-huh.
in data literacy
Okay.
and AI-related technologies
Right.
so that they can effectively leverage these tools.
So it's about embracing the opportunities that AI presents rather than fearing the unknown.
Exactly.
Yeah, because if you resist this change, you
Yeah.
risk falling behind.
You do.
Okay, so this brings us to trend number 16,
Okay.
a new data-driven HR landscape.
This is an interesting one.
It is, because it focuses on a
Right.
specific department within organizations.
Mm-hmm.
So how is HR being impacted by all these trends?
Well, I think we're seeing HR transform
Okay.
from a primarily administrative function
Okay.
to a more strategic partner
Uh-huh.
in driving business outcomes.
Okay.
And the article highlights how HR will be leveraging data
Okay.
and AI-driven insights
Uh-huh.
to predict workforce trends,
Okay.
identify skill gaps,
Uh-huh.
and optimize talent acquisition.
So it's about using data to make smarter decisions about people
Exactly.
and talent,
Mhm.
which ultimately impacts the overall success of the organization.
Absolutely, it's all connected.
So it all ties back to those themes of
All right.
adaptation
Mhm.
and using technology strategically
Yes.
that we've been talking about.
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of connection,
Okay.
let's dive into a trend
Right.
that I think speaks to the very heart
Okay.
of the human-AI partnership.
Okay.
Trend number 15,
Okay.
the coming AI-human hybrid workplace.
Now that sounds futuristic.
Sure. Does, right.
What does that even look like?
What does an AI-human hybrid workplace actually look like?
Well, it's a future where AI and humans are collaborating seamlessly,
Okay.
not just on those routine tasks,
Uh-huh.
but also in creative and strategic decision-making.
So it's like that next level of partnership.
It is.
Okay.
And the article talks about the need for leaders to foster what it calls
Okay.
adaptive intelligence.
Adaptive intelligence. Okay, that's a new one.
It is.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Well, it's about embracing the power of AI
Okay.
while also nurturing those human skills
Right.
that are essential for navigating complexity
Uh-huh.
and driving innovation.
So it's not either. It's both exactly
approach.
AI and human intelligence working together
Yeah.
to create something
To create something greater.
even greater than the sum of their parts.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we actually make this happen?
Well, the key is to integrate AI tools
Mm-hmm.
into our daily operations
Okay.
in a way that builds confidence
Mm-hmm.
and reduces fear.
Yeah, because there's a lot of fear out there.
There is.
Yeah.
So it's about seeing AI as a partner,
Okay.
not a threat,
Yeah.
and using it to augment our capabilities
Uh-huh.
and create new possibilities.
Yeah. It sounds like the future of work is going to require us to be
Mm.
comfortable with ambiguity,
Yes.
to be constantly learning and adapting,
Absolutely.
and to be open to collaborating with AI in ways that we may not have even imagined yet.
That's a great way to put it.
This deep dive into the future of work has been fascinating.
It has.
We've covered so much ground,
Well,
from AI and automation
Mm-hmm.
to the importance of human skills
Yes.
and resilient supply chains.
It's all connected.
And it makes you realize that the future of work
Right.
isn't just about technology.
No,
It's about people.
it is.
It's about how we adapt,
Mm.
how we connect,
Yes.
and how we find meaning and purpose in what we do.
Absolutely. It's a really interesting time to be talking about the future of work.
It is.
There's so much change happening.
Yeah, and it's happening so fast.
Mhm.
It's hard to keep up.
It is. And this Forbes article
Yeah,
does a good job, I think,
it does.
of laying out some of the key trends.
16 of them, to be exact,
16 trends, yeah.
that are going to shape the workplace.
Mm-hmm. In 2025 and beyond.
And beyond. Yeah, so we were talking before the break about
Okay.
trend number 15,
Okay.
the AI-human hybrid workplace.
Mm-hmm.
And, this idea of adaptive intelligence,
Right.
it's a mouthful.
It
And I
about,
think it's a really important concept.
yeah, it's about finding that balance
Mm-hmm.
between the power of AI
Okay.
and the irreplaceable value
Right.
of human skills.
Okay, so how do we actually do this?
Well, I think it starts with education.
Okay.
We need to make sure that people understand what AI is,
Okay.
what it can do,
Yeah.
and what it can't do.
Right, because there's a lot of misinformation out there.
There's a lot of hype
Yeah.
and a lot of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I think education is the key
Okay.
to dispelling those myths.
So it's about demystifying AI.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and then once people understand it,
Right,
then we can start talking about how to use it effectively.
right. And that's where the idea of adaptive intelligence comes in.
Yeah, okay.
It's about learning how to partner with AI,
Uh-huh.
how to use it to augment our capabilities,
Right.
not replace them.
Okay, so it's a shift in mindset
It is.
from seeing AI as a threat
Mhm.
to seeing it as a tool.
Exactly. A tool that can help us
Uh-huh.
be more productive,
Okay.
more creative,
Mm-hmm.
and more fulfilled in our work.
So it's not about either, it's about both hand.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about some specific examples
Okay.
of how AI can be used
Sure.
to enhance our work.
So one area that I'm really excited about
Okay.
is personalized learning.
Okay, you mentioned this before the break.
I did.
Yeah.
I think AI has the potential
Uh-huh.
to revolutionize the way we learn.
Okay, tell me more.
So imagine a world where
Yeah.
every student
Mm-hmm.
has access to AI tutors
Okay.
that can adapt to their individual needs
Okay.
and learning styles.
Wow, that would be amazing.
It would be a game changer.
Yeah.
Because right now,
Right.
our education system
Right.
is very one-size-fits-all.
It is.
And it doesn't work for everyone.
No, it doesn't.
But with AI,
Uh-huh.
we can create personalized learning experiences
Right.
that are tailored to each student's strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, so AI could help us create a
Yep.
more equitable education system.
Exactly.
That's really exciting.
It is.
Okay, so beyond education,
Right.
what are some other areas?
Well, another area where I think AI has huge potential
Okay.
is in healthcare.
Okay.
So AI can be used to analyze medical images,
Okay.
to diagnose diseases earlier and more accurately.
Wow.
And it can also be used to develop new treatments
Okay.
and therapies.
So it's not just about diagnosing diseases.
No, it's about improving patient outcomes
Right.
and helping people live longer, healthier lives.
That's amazing.
It is. And AI is already being used in healthcare
Okay.
in some really exciting ways.
I'm sure we're just scratching the surface.
We are.
Yeah, okay. So we've talked about education, healthcare.
Right.
What are some other industries?
Well, AI is also being used
Okay.
in finance
Mm-hmm.
to detect fraud
Okay.
and manage risk.
Okay.
It's being used in transportation
Uh-huh.
to develop self-driving cars
Right.
and improve traffic flow.
Okay.
And it's being used in manufacturing
Uh-huh.
to optimize production processes
Okay.
and create more efficient supply chains.
So it's really touching every aspect of our lives.
It is.
And it's only going to become
Right.
more
pervasive
integrated into our daily lives.
in the years to come.
Exactly.
So we better get ready.
We better.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the potential of AI.
We have.
Well, let's also talk about some of the challenges because
Yeah.
there are challenges.
Right. There are.
I mean, one of the big ones
Yeah.
is the potential for job displacement.
Right.
A lot of people are worried
Mm-hmm.
that AI is going to take their jobs.
And that's a valid concern.
AI is automating a lot of tasks
Mm-hmm.
that were previously done by humans.
So what can we do about that?
Well, I think it's important to remember
Right.
that AI is also creating new jobs.
Hmm. Yeah.
Jobs that we can't even imagine yet.
So it's not just about jobs being lost.
No, it's about jobs being transformed
Okay.
and new jobs being created.
So we need to be prepared
We do.
to adapt
Mm-hmm.
and learn new skills.
Exactly.
Okay. So what are some of the skills?
Well, as we've been talking about,
Uh-huh.
human skills are going to be more important than ever.
Okay.
So things like
Mm-hmm.
emotional intelligence,
Okay.
creativity,
Mm-hmm.
critical thinking,
Okay.
problem
Yeah.
solving.
Uh,
These are the skills
mm-hmm.
that machines can't replicate.
So the things that make us human,
Exactly.
those are the things that are going to be
Mm.
most valuable.
In the future of work.
Okay. So this is a good reminder
It is.
that even though we're talking a lot about technology, the future of work is still about people.
It is.
It's about how we interact,
Yes.
how we collaborate,
Mm-hmm.
and how we create value together.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's wrap up this conversation
Okay.
about AI
Sure.
by talking about what this all means for leaders.
Okay.
Because leaders are going to have to play a critical role
They are.
in shaping
Mhm.
this AI-human hybrid workplace.
Absolutely.
So what advice?
Well, first and foremost,
Uh-huh.
leaders need to embrace a growth mindset.
Okay.
They need to be willing to learn and adapt
Mm-hmm.
as the world of work changes.
Okay, so be comfortable with change.
Yes, change is inevitable.
Yeah.
And they also need to create a culture of trust and transparency
Okay.
where employees feel comfortable
Mm-hmm.
sharing their ideas and concerns.
So open communication
Yes, communication is key.
and psychological safety.
Absolutely.
You know, people need to feel safe
They do.
to speak up,
To experiment
to make mistakes.
without fear of reprisal.
Right, because that's how we learn.
It is.
And that's how we innovate.
Exactly.
So this is a lot for leaders to take on.
It is.
But it's also an exciting opportunity
It is.
to shape the future of work.
Could create a workplace
Uh-huh.
that is more human-centered,
Okay.
more innovative, and more fulfilling for everyone.
I like that.
Yeah. So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into the future of work.
We have.
You know, these 16 trends
Yeah.
from the Ford's article
Mm-hmm.
really paint a fascinating picture
They do.
of what the workplace is going to look like in 2025
Yeah, and beyond.
and beyond.
And one thing that I keep coming back to
Yeah.
is this emphasis on leadership.
Right.
You know, a lot of the advice in the article
Mm.
is geared towards leaders.
Right. How can they prepare their organizations and their teams for all of these changes?
But what about the rest of us?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What if you're not a manager? What if you're just,
Right.
navigating your own career?
How can you leverage these trends
Yeah.
to shape your own future?
Yeah. What can you do?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
And I don't think there's a single answer.
Right.
But I think there are a few things that everyone can do.
Okay. Like what?
Well, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to be aware of the trends.
Okay.
To understand what's happening
Mm-hmm.
in the world of work.
Yeah.
Even if you're not in a leadership position,
Right.
these trends are going to impact you.
They're going to impact all of us.
They are.
So, for example,
Okay.
even if you're not a manager,
Uh-huh.
understanding the shift towards customized work hours
Mm-hmm.
and hybrid work environments
Right.
can help you advocate for the flexibility that you need
Exactly.
to thrive.
You can have those conversations with your manager
Yeah.
and say, hey, these are the trends I'm seeing.
Right.
This is how I think I can be most productive. This is how I can best contribute to the team.
So it gives you a language to talk about what you need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And why it benefits both you and the company.
Right. It's not just about personal
Yeah.
preference.
It's about aligning your work style
Right.
with the evolving nature of work itself.
Yeah. And then
I think-
go ahead.
Regardless of your field,
Uh-huh.
developing those essential human skills.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about those.
We have.
Emotional intelligence, adaptability, strong communication.
Those are going to be valuable in any workplace.
Yeah.
Maybe even more so
Right.
as technology takes over some of those routine tasks.
Because those are the things
Exactly.
that differentiate us
Mm-hmm.
from machines.
Yeah, they're what make us human.
Yeah.
They allow us to build relationships, solve complex problems.
Navigate the nuances of human interaction.
Exact.
The article also talks a lot about
Continuous learning.
continuous learning. Yeah.
It's more important than ever.
It feels like it's changing so fast, though.
It is?
How do you even know where to start?
I think the key is to focus on what you can control.
Okay.
You can't predict the future,
Right.
but you can prepare for it.
Okay.
So start by identifying the skills that are most in demand in your field.
Okay, so do your research.
Yeah, do your research.
Okay, what else?
And then look at the emerging technologies
Mm-hmm.
that are relevant to your work.
Okay.
What are the tools and platforms
Right.
that are being used
That you need to know.
that you need to know? Yeah.
And then don't forget about those human skills.
Right. Those are going to be just as important,
Yeah, maybe even more important
maybe even more important
as we move forward.
as automation increases.
Yeah, it can feel overwhelming though, right?
They can.
It's like drinking from a fire hose.
There's so much information out there,
Yeah.
and it's changing so rapidly.
So what advice would you give
Well,
to people who are feeling a little bit lost?
Yeah.
Or intimidated by all of this?
I think the most important thing
Okay.
is to not be afraid to experiment.
Okay.
Try new things.
Mm-hmm.
Step outside your comfort zone,
Okay.
and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Because that's how we learn.
That's how we learn.
Yeah.
And I think it's also important to have growth mindset,
Okay.
to be open
Mm.
to new ideas and new ways of working.
To be a lifelong learner.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
I'd love to leave our listeners with a final thought to ponder.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about how these trends
Right.
impact leaders and organizations.
Mm.
But how can individuals
Yeah.
use this knowledge
To their advantage.
to their advantage? How can you take ownership
Mm-hmm.
of your own career trajectory
Right.
and make sure that you're prepared
Yeah.
for whatever the future of work holds?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is.
And I think the best way to answer that question
Okay.
is to ask yourself a few questions.
Okay, what are...
What excites you
Uh-huh.
about the future of work?
Okay.
What concerns you?
Mm-hmm.
And then what steps can you take?
Today, to become more adaptable,
Yes.
more resilient,
Mm-hmm.
and more prepared for the changes.
For whatever comes next.
Lad.
It's an exciting time
It is.
to be navigating the world of work.
It's full of challenges,
It is.
but it's also full of opportunities.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think if we embrace
Yeah.
that growth mindset
Mm-hmm.
and that willingness to adapt
Right.
and that curiosity,
Yeah.
then the future of work is
Mhm.
really bright.
It is. I'm excited about it.
Me too. Thanks for joining us today.
It was my pleasure.
And we hope you found this deep dive insightful
Yeah.
and maybe even a little bit inspiring.
Inspiring to think about the possibilities.
Yeah. The future is what we make it.
It is.
All right. Thanks again for listening.
Thanks, everyone.